गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्बा त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनीं सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमलप्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। गीताशास्त्रमिदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् प्रयतः पुमान् विष्णोः पदमवाप्नोति भयशोकविवर्जितः। गीताध्ययनशीलस्य प्राणायामपरस्य च नैव सन्ति हि पापानि पूर्वजन्मकृतानि च मलनिर्मोचनं पुंसां जलस्नानं दिने दिने सकृद्गीताम्भसि स्नानं संसारमलनाशनम्। गीतासु गीता कर्तव्या किमन्यैः शास्त्रविस्तरैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्माद्विनिसृता भारतामृतसर्वस्वं विष्णोर्वक्त्राद्विनिसृतं गीता गङ्गोदकं पीत्वा पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकीपुत्रगीतमेको देवो देवकीपुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं पद्मनाभं सुरेशं विश्वाधारं गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं लक्ष्मीकान्तं कमलनयनं योगिभिर्ध्यानगम्यं वन्दे विष्णुं भवभयहरं सर्वलोकैकनाथं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतस्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय नमः। मन्दारगन्धसंयुक्तं चारुहासं चतुर्भुजं बर्हि पिच्छावचूडाङ्गं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं रुक्मिणीकेलिसंयुक्तं पीताम्बरसुशोभितम् अवाप्ततुलसीगन्धं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् उत्फुल्लपद्मपत्राक्षं नीलजीमूतसन्निभं यादवानां शिरोरत्नं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ॐ भगवते वासुदेवाय नमः। गोविन्दं गोकुलानन्दं गोपालं गोपीवल्लभं गोवर्धनोद्धरं धीरं तं वन्दे गोमतीप्रियम्। ॐ भगवते वासुदेवाय नमः। नारायणं निराकारं नरवीरं नरोत्तमं नृसिंहं नागनाथं च तं वन्दे नरकान्तकम्। ॐ भगवते वासुदेवाय नमः। पीताम्बरं पद्मनाभं पद्माक्षं पुरुषोत्तमं पवित्रं परमानन्दं तं वन्दे परमेश्वरम्। ॐ भगवते वासुदेवाय नमः। राघवं रामचन्द्रं च रावणारिं रमापतिं राजीवलोचनं रामं तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। ॐ भगवते वासुदेवाय नमः। यदक्षरपदभ्रष्टं मात्राहीनं च यद्भवेत् तत्सर्वं क्षम्यतां देवनारायण नमोऽस्तु ते। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। अस्तु। So today we have to continue with shloka number 19. So we are on page number 12. Page number 12, shloka number 19 of the 5th adhyaya. Alivelu Bagini.
भगिनी नमस्कारः। इहैव तर्जितः सर्गो तेषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः। पदच्छेदः इह एव तैः जितः सर्गाः येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः। इह अव्ययम् एव अव्ययम् तैः तत्शब्दस्य पुंलिङ्ग तृतीया बहुवचनं जितः। जितः जी धातु ता प्रत्ययम् पुंलिङ्ग प्रथमा पुरुष एकवचनं प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनं सर्गाः सर्गः सर्गः अपि अकारान्त पुंलिङ्ग प्रथमा एकवचनं येषाम् एतत् शब्दस्य षष्ठी बहुवचनं
एतद् नास्ति यद् शब्दः
ओके यद् शब्दस्य तकारान्त षष्ठी बहुवचनं साम्ये साम्ये सप्तमी साम्य अकारान्त नपुंसकलिङ्ग सप्तमी एकवचनं स्थितम् अकारान्त नपुंसकलिङ्ग द्वितीया एकवचनं मनः मनस् सकारान्त पुंलिंग प्रथमा एकवचनं
नपुंसकं मनस्
नपुंसक मनस्
नपुंसकं
नपुंसक
प्रथमा एकवचनं
सकारान्त ओके निर्दोषं निर्दोषम् अकारान्त नपुंसकलिंग द्वितीया या प्रथमा एकवचनं हि अव्ययं समं समं सममपि अव्ययं द्वितीया एकवचनम्
नपुंसकलिङ्गं प्रथमा एकवचनं
प्रथमा एकवचनं नपुंसकलिङ्गं निर्दोषमपि प्रथमा एकवचनं भवति
आम्
ब्रह्म ब्रह्मन् नकारान्त पुंलिंग प्रथमा एकवचनं पुंलिंगमेन ब्रह्म
नपुंसकं
नपुंसकं सर्वमपि नपुंसकलिङ्गाः ओके तस्मात् तस्मात् तत्शब्दं
तद् शब्दस्य पुंलिङ्ग पञ्चमी एकवचनं
पंचम तस्मात् कदा पंचमे एकवचनं हो जस्वसन्धौ ఉంటుంది కదా पंचमे एकवचनं ब्रह्मणि नकारान्त नपुंसकलिंग ब्रह्म शब्दस्य सप्तमी एकवचनं ते तत्शब्दस्य बहु पुंलिंग प्रथमा बहुवचनं स्थिताः स्था धातुः ता प्रत्ययं प्रथमा विभक्ति बहुवचनं पदार्थः येषां ज्ञानिनां साम्ये गोब्राह्मणशुनकादौ समानतायां मनः चित्तं स्थितं तैः समदर्शिभिः सर्गः संसारः इह एव अस्मिन् भूलोके एव जितः विजितः हि यस्मात् समं सर्वेषु अपि प्राणिषु समत्वेन स्थितं ब्रह्म परवस्तु निर्दोषं दोषरहितं तस्मात् अतः ते ज्ञानिनः ब्रह्मणि परमात्मनि स्थिताः अवस्थिताः अन्वयः येषां साम्ये मनः स्थितं तैः सर्गः इह एव जितः समं हि ब्रह्म निर्दोषं तस्मात् ते ब्रह्मणि स्थिताः तात्पर्यम् अयम् उच्चः अयं नीचः इति बुद्ध्यभावात् ये सर्वेषु अपि प्राणिषु समानाः भवन्ति ते जीवन्तः एव अस्मिन् लोके सर्वथा विनष्टसंसारबन्धाः सन्ति इदं ब्रह्म निर्विकारं सर्वेषु प्राणिषु समानञ्च तस्मात् ते तत्रैव सर्वदा भवितुम् इच्छन्ति माध्वमतं येषां मनः परमात्मनः रूपेषु साम्यं चिन्तयति तैः जन्ममरणादिरूपः संसारः जितः तस्मात् समदर्शिनः एव ब्रह्मज्ञानिनः इत्युच्यन्ते प्रश्नाः कैः सर्गः जितः तैः सर्गः जितः तैः कुत्र एव सर्गः जितः तैः ब्रह्मणि एव सर्गः जितः तत्र ब्रह्मणि एव
so here येषां साम्ये मनः स्थितं तैः सर्गः इह इव जितः so मनः साम्ये मनः स्थितं
साम्ये मनः स्थितं जितः ते कुत्र स्थिताः इक्कड ब्रह्मणि स्थिताः ते ब्रह्मणि स्थिताः ब्रह्म कीदृशं ब्रह्म समम्
इह एव जितः खलु for the second question येषां साम्ये मनः स्थितं तैः सर्गः इह एव जितः तैः कुत्र एव सर्गः जितः
तैः इह एव सर्गः जितः ते कुत्र स्थिताः ते ब्रह्मणि तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः ते ब्रह्मणि स्थिताः ब्रह्म कीदृशं ब्रह्म निर्दोषं समं ब्रह्म समं
ब्रह्म निर्दोषं समं
निर्दोषं समं व्याकरणं सन्धिः इह इव इह प्लस् एव वृद्धिसन्धिः तैर्जितः तैः प्लस् जितः विसर्गसन्धिः रेपः सर्गो येषां सर्गः प्लस् येषां विसर्गसन्धिः सकारः रेपः उकारः गुणः तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि तस्मात् प्लस् ब्रह्मणि जस्त्वसन्धिः कृदन्तः जितः जी प्लस् ता कर्मणि स्थितं था धातुः ता तं तद्धितान्तः साम्ये समश्यण् भावे समस्य भावः समता इत्यर्थः धन्यवादः भगिनी
धन्यवादः सो अत्र क्रियापदं किं भगिनी
स्थिताः स्थिताः
स्थिताः एकं क्रियापदं द्वितीयमपि अस्ति वा?
स्थितं मनः साम्ये स्थितं मनः स्थितं क्रियापदं भवति
स्थितं पुनः जितः अपि
जितः
येषां साम्ये मनः स्थितं तैः सर्गः इव एव जितः. So here येषां तैः यत् तत्. So we can always connect sentences with yat and tat. The yat and tat shabdas can take any vibhaktis. In one sentence here yesham it is in shashti vibhakti, whereas taihi is in tritiya vibhakti. So yesham manaha samye sthitam, of those people who have the samabhavam in their manas about everything, taihi sargah jitah, by them the parabrahmam can be achieved. By them the parabrahmam can be achieved. Iha eva jitah. In here itself, in this world itself, they will attain that siddhi. Okay, that is one. That is the first part of the sentence. Samam hi brahma nirdosham. So samam hi brahma nirdosham. So brahma katham asti samam and nirdosham cha. So here we have two videya visheshanas for brahma. Brahma samam nirdosham. Okay, so he here how does this mean? Ayam uchchaha ayam uchchaha iti buddhi abhavat ye sarveshu api pranishu samanaah bhavanti te jivantah eva asmin loke sarvatha vinashta samsara bandhaah santi. So they can become vimukti. They can attain vimukti from these samsara bandhas. Those who see that detachment we were talking about in all these shlokas, that we have to be detached, that can be attained by having this samabhavam with everything. Idam brahma nirvikaram sarveshu pranishu samanancha. So this brahma is the same in all the pranis. So this brahma is a samam and nirdosham, means nirvikaram or nirdosham, or so whatever we see, whatever impurities we see in a particular person, that is not the impurity of the Brahma within. So the Brahma within everybody or every prani is the same and is pure, nirdosham. So Brahma asti, Brahma katham asti, samam asti, nirdosham asti. So here Brahma will become the Kartrupadam, and Samam and Nirdosham we can take as Videya Visheshnas. So here Asti we can take as Adhyahritam, just to make it more complete, to make the sentence more complete. And then we have Tasmat Te Brahmani Sthitaha. So, and because of that reason, because of what reason? Because they look at everything as the same. They look at the Brahma in every prani as the same, without any impurities. They look at the inner Brahma as that pure thing. Such people, because of that reason, such people, they Brahmani sthitaha, they will attain that moksha. They will attain Paramatma. They will attain Paramapadam. Okay, so here we can split this into three parts. In the first part, two sentences are joined with yat tat. Yesham manaha samye sthitam taihi iha eva sargah jitah. That is one part. And then Brahma samam nirdosham cha. And then tasmat, and because of that reason, they, those people who have samabhavam in every prani, they brahmani sthitaha. They will attain moksha. They will attain paramapadam. They will be, obtain that aikamatyam with parabrahma. So here we have kridantaha, jitaha, ji dhatoho ktha pratyayam, sthitam, stha dhatoho ktha pratyayam, Tadhittanta samye, sama. So the samabhavam, it indicates the samabhavam. Okay. Any questions in this shloka? So here this shloka is clearly explaining how that samabhavam should be there. And the samadrishti should be there. Then even though they are still in this life, in this world, they are still existing, they will attain that siddhi. And after whatever dues they have to pay off, we have also discussed that even though one attains a siddhi, sometimes they have to continue living this life because they have certain things that they have to experience, either good or bad, right? Even after they attain siddhi, they will still have some duties that they have to complete before attaining moksha and not having rebirth. So similarly, here also the first thing is to practice that detachment. We have to look at everything in the samabhavam. Then automatically that attachment will not be there. What is the most common thing that we see among us, like within ourselves? We have a certain kind of affection towards our family, our friends, and we don't have anything for people who are not connected to us. But that compassion should be there with everything. If how much we feel for our own people, the same kind of passion or compassion we should have with respect to other people also. And when will that come? Only when we have samabhavam with everything. Only when we have samabhavam with every prani. Not only for people. Some people do not care for animals. Some people do not care for other things, but like plants or whatever. So, but we should have that samabhavam with every prani. In every prani, that Paramatma is there. Whether it is an animal, in the previous shlokas also, we have seen that one should have samabhavam with the scholarly people, with regular people, with animals, with even like animals like elephants, and animals like dogs, and even for the pranis that eat other animals like dogs. So with all these, we should have that samabhavam. Why? Because whatever impurities that each of these pranis have is only on the bahya because of their purva samskaras. But the Paramatma within each of these prani is the same, is the pure. And how the comparison was made for us to understand, like the gold, like the pure gold. The pure gold, when you take an ornament to a goldsmith, and if you want to sell it, what will he value? Only after removing all the impurities, whatever pure gold is left, only for that he will pay you the money. He will not pay you money for all the impurities added to make that ornament, right? So similarly, he is looking only at that pure 24 karat gold that is within that ornament that you have. And that is what he is valuing. He is not looking at the outside, no matter how beautiful it is. He is looking only at the 24 karat gold that this ornament carries. Similarly, we also, when we are looking at every prani, we have to look at the Paramatma within. We have to remind ourselves that there is Paramatma within every prani, and we have to look at only that. The outsides can be a little different because of their purva samskaras. That we have to leave it to that only. We have to again remind ourselves that there is Paramatma within this being, and whatever impurities that they have on the outside, that is because of their purva samskaras. So we have nothing to do with that. We are only dealing with the Paramatma within that being. In that way, if we develop our thinking, whenever we are looking at other pranis, whenever we are reminding ourselves that there is Paramatma with every being, then it will become easy for us to practice this samabhavam. Otherwise, it is very difficult, right? To practice samabhavam, it is very difficult. This thing is there from the very beginning in our mankind. Like first, it will become like within the family, and if we step out of the family, it will become a regional thing. If we step out of the region, it will become a state. If we step out of the state, it will become again the south, north, east, and west. South India, North India in that sense. If we step out of the country, it will become Indians and non-Indians. If we step even further, it will become Asians and Westerners. So there is no ending to this. Always it is a very, 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 very relative thing. So that is there so much in all of us that it will be difficult to look at everything with the samabhavam, but this is how it can be practiced. This is how, once we understand how this samabhavatvam should be practiced or why it should be practiced, these are the reasons. So Paramatma is there in every being. The outside impurities that a person or a thing might have is because of their purva samskaras. If we go beyond that, then we will be able to see the Paramatma, and then it will become a little easy for us to practice this samabhava. So, commonly also, like how we treat even within our family, how a daughter is treated or a daughter-in-law is treated. Such things are all examples like where that samabhavam is missing. So once we consider or we practice, then automatically that samabhavatvam will come. And even how the daughters or daughter-in-laws treat their mother versus the mother-in-law. So that also we should try and practice, not to practice the samabhavatvam. Initially, we can start doing within our own family, within these relations itself. Then slowly we can, it will become easy for us to extend it further. Okay, one step at a time. And then, yeah, so basically that is very important. So this vastu dosha, like then he who looks at things with the samabhavam will not get that vastu dosha. So what does that mean, vastu dosha? Why does it not touch? Like say, for example, some person is there who is not a very good person. So his behavior is very rude. His behavior is very rude. And we are unable to see him with that samabhavam, or that Paramatma is there within him. So then what happens if we also tend to deal with him in that same manner? Because he is not nice to us, we also tend to behave improperly with that other person. But if we realize that Paramatma is there within him, but we are only looking at the outside appearance and we are only dealing with this outside thing, then we are not doing the right thing. Then the Vastu dosha will be there with us also. Vastu dosha will be there with to us also. But if we see that, okay, the bad behavior or the rude behavior of this person is because of his purva samskaras, so just ignore them. We should not take it personally. Whatever he says, it is because of his purva samskaras, he is behaving that way. And whatever we need to deal with him, we need to deal with him in that right way. It doesn't mean we have to give in to every demand that that person asks. We should always follow the dharma. If we need to be strict with certain things, we have to be strict with certain things. We should not let the other person take advantage of us just because we are, samabhavam does not mean that. Looking at Paramatma within every prani does not mean that. We have to protect ourselves, but everything should follow as per the dharma. It should not be, we should not mistreat the other person. And whatever action needs to be taken, but only as per the dharma. So as long as we follow that, and while we are following that also, it should be in a very pleasant way. We should not again exhibit our anger or any kind of negative feelings against that. Then if we also do in that same way, then that vastu dosha will happen. So treating everything with samabhavam and looking at Paramatma within every prani is, from our side, it is a lot of work. We have to try and ignore, any negativity from that outside, person or prani. But we have to do everything in our power to protect ourselves, to follow our path in a dharmika way. And without following, any incorrect path, we have to proceed. So that is what is important here, which we should understand. Otherwise, there will not be clarity. We will be confused. So should we simply give in to everything that the other people ask? No, that is not what is being said. That is never encouraged. Because if we encourage that, it will become like apatra danam. Like we are giving in to unreasonable demands of others. That is not correct. And it has never been asked by anybody to do that. We always have to follow. We have to question ourselves whether this whatever we are going to do or doing is the right thing or not. And as long as if we feel that it is the right thing to do, then no matter how hard it is, we have to do. Like even within our own family, we can apply this. We have children, right? We have a daughter as well as a daughter-in-law, say for example. So the daughter might be asking some unreasonable demands, and we know that it is not correct for her to be behaving like that with the daughter-in-law. So then we should be able to correct her. We should, because we know what is right and wrong. So we have to, then that will become the right behavior. And it is not like we'll be supporting our daughter no matter what and not supporting the daughter-in-law even if she's doing the right thing. So that is the samabhavam. And still we should set an example by that kind of practice so that even our next generation will follow the same thing. So that is the hard part. Many people believe that we should support our family no matter what. Even when they are doing the wrong thing, we should not admit, even though we know within ourselves that that is the wrong thing for them to do. Some people think that we should not admit it, and we should support no matter what. That I personally feel that is not the right thing, because by doing that we ourselves are spoiling our own children or our own family members. So when something is wrong, we have to tell it to them. But how we tell also again is important. We need not insult that other person. We have to talk to them in a way that they are not hurt, but still we have to bring it to their notice that that kind of behavior or that kind of thinking is not correct. Otherwise it will become Dhritarashtra prema, because that is what he does. No matter what Duryodhana does, he is unable to correct him. He is unable to stop him. He is always supporting him. Why? Because this is this unreasonable love that he has. It is not, you cannot say that it is, a proper or correct way of loving another person. It is not with the samabhavam that he does. So for that reason, he eventually had to see the destruction of his own children. So similarly, we also first we have to practice that samabhavam within our family and be able to tell what is right and what is wrong and stand by it. Okay. So then that vastu dosha will not touch us. That is also important. Okay, and it is very, very important, because otherwise we also become a part of that crime. Like even in our regular legal system also, even the accomplice will get punished, right? He who does not do, but he who has a part in it, right? So similarly, even in our dharmika way of life, it is told that if we do not stop, if we see something bad happening right in front of us, if we do not stop it, then we are also are punishable. We also have that sin from that bad doing touches. So it is very important for us to, even staying quiet is also not the correct thing. Many times what we do when we are in a fix, it is our own family members. We don't know whose side to take, because no matter whose side we take, it is our children only who will be, how do you say, hurt, who will be hurt, right? So we tend to stay away or ignore or be quiet. But as long as it is in our, if it is our responsibility as a member of the family, then it is important for us to speak out, what is right and what is wrong, and clarify. They may not like it, but it is our responsibility to do. Okay. Anantaram, Allirani Bhagini, Patitum Ichchati va?
हाँ मैम। न प्रकृषेत् प्रियं प्राप्य नो द्विजेत् प्राप्य च प्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः न पदविभाग न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य न उद्विजेत् प्राप्य च अप्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिः असम्मूढः ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः न अव्ययं प्रहृष्येत् विधिलिङ्गलकारं प्रहृष्येत्
विधिलिन् लकार प्र उपसर्ग प्रा उपसर्ग हृष्
धातु विधिलिङ्गलकार प्रथम पुरुष एकवचन प्रियम अकारांत
अकारांत पुंलिंग द्वितीया
विभक्ति एकवचन प्राप्य लेपन्तं न अव्ययम् उद्विजेत् उत् उपसर्गः विधिलिङ्गलकारं प्रथम पुरुष एकवचनं
विज् धातु
विज् धातुः प्राप्य लेपन्तं अगेन च अव्ययम् अप्रियम् अकारान्त द्वितीया विभक्ति एकवचनं नपुंसकलिङ्गं स्थिरबुद्धिः इकारान्त स्त्रीलिङ्गं प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनम् असम्मूढः सम्मूढ अकारान्त प्रथमा विभक्ति पुल्लिङ्गं प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनं ब्रह्मवित् दकारान्त मैडम
दकारान्त पुंलिंग
प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनं ब्रह्मणि नकारान्त नपुंसकलिङ्गं सप्तमी विभक्ति एकवचनं स्थितः स्था धातुः अकारान्तं क्ता प्रत्ययं प्रथमा विभक्ति एकवचनं पदार्थः ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मज्ञानी ब्रह्मणि परमात्मनि स्थितः वर्तमानः स्थिरबुद्धिः निश्चलमनाः असम्मूढः व्यामोहरहितः प्रियम् इष्टं प्राप्य लब्ध्वा न प्रहृष्येत् न सन्तुष्येत् अप्रियम् अनिष्टं प्राप्य च लब्ध्वा अपि न उद्विजेत् न विषीदेत् अन्वयः ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः स्थिरबुद्धिः असम्मूढः प्रियं प्राप्य न प्रहृष्येत् अप्रियं प्राप्य च न उद्विजेत् यह तात्पर्यं यह ब्रह्मवित् सर्वदा ब्रह्मणि एव स्थिरबुद्धिः सम्मोहवर्जितश्च भवति सः इष्टं प्राप्य न प्रहृष्यति अनिष्टं च प्राप्य खेदं न याति प्रश्नाः ब्रह्मवित् कुत्र स्थितो भवति ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मणि स्थितो भवति ब्रह्मवित् कीदृशो भवति ब्रह्मवित् स्थिरबुद्धिः असम्मूढः ब्रह्मणि स्थितः भवति ब्रह्मणि स्थितश्च भवति ब्रह्मवित् किं प्राप्य न प्रहृष्यति ब्रह्मवित् प्रियं प्राप्य न प्रहृष्यति ब्रह्मवित् किं न प्रहृष्यति ब्रह्मवित् किं प्राप्य न विषीदति ब्रह्मवित् अप्रियं प्राप्य न विषीदति स्थिरबुद्धिः असम्मूढो ब्रह्मणि स्थितश्च कः स्थिरबुद्धिः असम्मूढो ब्रह्मणि स्थितश्च ब्रह्मवित् भवति ब्रह्मवित् भवति व्याकरणं सन्धिः नो द्विजेत् न उद्विजेत् गुणसन्धिः नो द्विजेत् च प्रियं च अप्रियं च प्रियं सवर्णदीर्घसन्धिः स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढः स्थिरबुद्धिः प्लस् असम्मूढः सर्गसन्धिरेफः ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मणि ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मणि षष्ठसन्धिः असम्मूढो ब्रह्मवित् असम्मूढः ब्रह्मवित् विसर्गसन्धिः सकारः रेफः उकारः गुणः समासः अप्रियं न प्रियं नैतत्पुरुषः स्थिरबुद्धिः स्थिरा बुद्धिः यस्य सः बहुव्रीः असम्मूढः न सम्मूढः नैतत्पुरुषः ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्म वेत्ति ब्रह्मवित् कर्तरि क्विप् उपपदसमासश्च कृदन्तः प्राप्य प्र उपसर्गः आप धातुः ल्यप् प्रत्ययः स्थितः स्था धातुः क्ता प्रत्ययम्
उत्तमम् उत्तमं भगिनि धन्यवादः
धन्यवादः
क्रियापदानि कानि अत्र
प्रहृष्येत् उद्विजेत्
उत्तमं सो प्रहृष्येत् अत्र कर्तृपदं किम्
कर्तृपदं ब्रह्मवित् कदा
ब्रह्मवित् वा
ब्रह्मज्ञानी ब्रह्मवित्
ब्रह्मवित् प्रियं
हाँ।
प्राप्य न प्रहृष्येत्
न प्रहृष्येत्
उद्विजेत् अत्र
अप्रियं प्राप्य ब्रह्मवित् अप्रियं प्राप्य न उद्विजेत्
उत्तमं सो ब्रह्मवित् प्रियं प्राप्य न प्रहृष्येत् अप्रियं प्राप्य न उद्विजेत् च so the brahmavit you can take as the kartrupadam for both these kriya padani and we can join like saha khadati pibati cha like that so brahmavit priyam prapya na prahrashyet apriyam prapya na udvijet cha so what does a brahmavit how does a brahmavit behave even after he obtains something that he likes he does not feel happy and even if he obtains that which he does not like or want he does not feel sad na udvijet okay means here what is it what does it mean is like dukkham or sukham even when we have sukham we should not be overjoyed even when we have dukkham we should not get depressed we have to take both with equal mind with equal state of mind okay and the second part of the sentence sthira
बुद्धिः असमूढः ब्रह्मवित् ब्रह्मवित् विशेषण
स्थिर बुद्धिः असम्मूढः brahmani sthitah so such kind of brahmavit who is sthira buddhihi and asammudah means he who does not have any kind of
व्यामोहरहितः
moham okay no confusion no confusion no desire such kind of sthira buddhihi such kind of brahmavit brahmani sthitah means he will attain moksha uttamam bagini so here again the same thing is being emphasized on like the samam what does this samam mean taking the good and the bad taking sukham and dukkham with equal state of mind so we have to understand that and when will we be able to do that only when we see everything with the samabhavam even the dukkham or the sukham even the bad that comes our way or the good either through people or through situations if we are able to see all this through the same state of mind then we will become sthira buddhihi and brahmavit such a person will become brahmavit so then again there will be samshaya there is always a samshaya so how can we take both same how can we take everything or look at everything with that samabhavam that is a question that we have and will to listen to it is very it seems very good but are we able to practice it will we be able to practice it and how to overcome the obstacles that come across our way so that will be explained in the next shloka so but this is again emphasizing on the fact that we need to have the samabhavam no matter what the situation is whether we come across the good or the bad priyam or apriyam we have to take it in the same way and asammudaha means moham here being asammudaha being sthira buddhihi because these two words are mentioned here it is again emphasizing on the fact why we have to be asammudaha and sthira buddhihi only then we will be able to see with the samabhavam asammudaha if there is moham towards certain things then automatically again that priyam and priya bhavana will come and apriyam and apriya bhavana with other things will be there. So then the samabhavam will be lost. So moham is the one that is causing all this, right? Because we have desire towards the certain things, there that priyam will be there. So when we obtain that priyam, again we will rejoice. And when we do not obtain that priyam, we will again feel sad. So all this samabhavatvam will lose balance if we are sammodaha. So we have to become a sammodaha. And sthira buddhihi. Sthira buddhihi is again having the same state of mind, whether we are facing dukkham or sukham. We always see that. We feel very happy when something good happens and equally depressed when something does not happen the way we expect. That also we have to constantly remind ourselves that nothing is in our hand. Phalakanksha should not be there. Only when we have phalakanksha, we have such kind of happiness or sadness when we do not get or happen things the way we want. So that also we should always constantly remind. We have to do our prayatna with utmost shraddha, but always remember, am I doing my best? Am I in this karya nirvahana, am I giving my best? That's all we have to think about. I am doing so much, so why did I not get that result? We should again not go into that kind of thinking. Our thinking should stop just looking into ourselves and making sure that we are doing what needs to be done with utmost shraddha, yatha shakti. So how much ever we are able to do, that much we have to do. We are not asked to do beyond our capacity. We are never asked to do beyond our capacity, but to the full of our capacity are we doing? That much we have to constantly question ourselves. And once we do that, that is where our job ends. We don't have to worry about anything else. That phalapeksha should not be there. Because the minute we have the phalapeksha, this dukkham or sukham will come. And when dukkham and sukham come, then we cannot have this samabhavatvam. And if this is or sthira buddhi will not be there. If the sthira buddhi is not there, we cannot obtain the Brahman. So that we have to constantly remind ourselves. So here we have the samasa apriyam. Na priyam, apriyam, naitat purusha. Sthira buddhihi. Sthira buddhihi yasya saha. Bahuvrihi. Asammudaha. Na sammudaha, naitat purusha. And brahmavit. Brahma vetti brahmavit. Kartari quip upapada samasa. Upapada samasa, always remember we have a kriya padam in the vigraha vakyam. So brahma vetti. He who knows the Brahma is Brahmavit. He who understands or has the knowledge of the Paramatma Tattva Jnanam. Okay, that kind of person is called Brahmavit. And then Kridanta, Prapya and Sthitaha, you all know that. Okay. Any questions in this shloka? Okay. So next shloka. Who would like to read? Sri Lakshmi Bhagini? Patitum ichchati va?
आं भगिनि इदानीमेव पुस्तकम् उद्घाटयामि क्षम्यताम्
21st shloka. So the reason why the same things are being repeatedly told with so many different contexts and so many different examples is because it is difficult. Having samabhavatvam, practicing samabhavatvam, having control over the indriyas, not having phalapeksha, all these are not easy. So that is the reason why the same things are explained to us in different ways, but every time with a new context or with a new situation or with a new word, it is being explained. So that we have to keep in mind. Because for us to understand, many times the whole of Bhagavad Gita can be told very simply, right? In 3 sentences also we can tell. Basically, not to have phalapeksha, to follow the right path, and have the samabhavam and look at everything, every prani with Paramatma, like Paramatma. So That is what all it is. But how to achieve that? Everybody knows those 3 points, but how to practice that? Because we are all at different levels of that spirituality. We need to be told several times again and again in so many Laukika examples, so that sometimes, not sometimes, many times, this Laukika examples only will help us understand, um, how to practice these, how to look at things, how to believe that this is asat. All this prakriti is just maya. How do we? It appears so real. We are feeling the pain. We are feeling the pleasure. How can it not be true? Right? It will be very difficult for us to understand. But when we are given a Laukika example, say for example, it is not very. There is light. It is in the night time. You see a rope and you think it is a snake. You know that it is a rope. In the morning you saw that it is a rope only. You only put it there. But once the lights are off, you totally forgot about it. You are inside. You went outside for something and you see a rope like that. Suddenly, for a second, for a few seconds, what happens? You think it is a snake. You think it is a snake, and suddenly your heart will start pounding. You will sweat, and your whole body will shiver. All this will happen for a few minutes or a few seconds. And then you will somehow muster the courage and switch on the light. And then you will see it is only a rope, and then you will calm down, right? But for those few seconds, whatever you observed, whatever you felt, not observed, whatever you felt, do you think it is real or not real? Your heart pounding is real. You sweating is real. You shivering is real, right? You freezing, you froze like that. That is also real. All of this is real. But then why? Why did all of this happen? Why all this which is so real happen? Because of what? Because of something that is not even there. There is really no snake there. But just because you thought there is a snake there, you experienced all these which are so real. So if you apply that to this prakriti, whatever you are seeing, the vastus around you, the bandhas that you have with your family and friends, they appear so real. But you have to understand that these are not real. How can they not be real? We have to remind ourselves of that. For a few seconds, when you thought that rope is a snake, whatever you have experienced, it was so real. Similarly, whatever we are experiencing right now is very real. But because our mind is thinking that whatever we are seeing is real, that is why whatever we are feeling also is becoming real. But if you train your mind to think that whatever you are seeing is not real, this is only Maya, then what happens? Then whatever you are experiencing, automatically that intensity of that will come down. When you look at a rope, you are having that samshaya. Is it a rope or is it a snake? I know I put a rope there, but is it really the rope that I put there, or did a snake also come by? That chintana is happening. No, it cannot be a snake. There are no snakes around here. That is the rope I put. And you put that kind of thinking into it. It is in the same shape way how I put it in the morning. So it has to be only a rope. So when you are doing this chintana, then what happens? Will your heart pound like before? Will you shiver? Will you have sweat and all? No. At least it will come down to some extent, because there is still a little bit of samshaya that it could be a snake. So there will be a little bit of that fear, and everything is there, but not like before. So we have to stop. When our mind is racing to think that this is real and this is what it is, if we bring it under control, if we bring our mind under control and tell ourselves, no, that doesn't look like a snake. I don't think it is a snake. Let us make sure. Don't panic. If we keep telling this to ourselves, slowly all those other things like shivering and sweating and all these also will come down, right? So that bhayam is also the reason. Even before something happens, that fear will take over the mind, and it is causing all this. So here it is fear. Another time it can be another thing. It can be anger. Another time it can be desire. Another time it can be something else. So all these are because of the indriyas. Because of the indriyas only, all these emotions come. So once we have that chintanam, that mananam, that also we discussed several shlokas before about mananam, how we constantly need to think, and tell ourselves that we should not fall into these desires. We should not fall into these maya. Constantly, if we keep telling that mananam should happen throughout, then automatically it will become easy for us to see that what is sat and what is asat. These are all asat. What is sat? Our goal, reaching the Paramatma, that is the sat. So to reach that goal, what should we do? We should not give in to these laukika things. We have to perform our duty, but should not pay too much of attention on those things. We should not indulge in those things. Whatever we do as our responsibility, as our duties, with utmost shraddha, with our yatha shakti, we have to do. But we should not fall into that loop. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to come out. What is the best you can offer? You have to offer. And it ends right there. That also we have to constantly think. So in the small things that we do every day, first, if we start practicing there, then we will be able to expand it a little out and include more and more things into that. Even after you are able to practice that for 3 months, say for example, so the 91st day, you will fail. You will again fall in prey for some of these, which you had so much under control. But that is also okay. That also we need to tell ourselves. It is okay. It is okay for us to not be able to do, because this is not a small thing. This is not an easy thing. It needs a lot of abhyasa. It takes several lives for us to attain this. So keeping that in mind, we also should be able to forgive ourselves whenever some mistakes happen. But we should also acknowledge it. If we don't acknowledge it, learning will never happen. Abhyasa will never happen. Moving forward will never happen. As a random experiment, you try this with some of your friends and family. It will be very interesting. Many times people keep saying, oh, we are not perfect. Everybody does mistakes, right? Oh, everybody. You ask, okay, fine. Everybody does mistakes. So what do you think? What mistakes you have done in your life? You ask them that. You will be surprised to see how many will actually come out and say or admit the mistakes that they might have done. They will keep saying, I have come, yeah, nobody is perfect. Everybody does mistakes. I also have done mistakes. You also have done mistakes. But when you ask them to pinpoint and say out loud what mistakes you have done, not many people will come out and say, these are the mistakes I have done. Why? Because there are so many things involved, involved before they try to say that, because they themselves are going through that internal fight. Okay, the mind is telling no, what you're doing is wrong, but they don't want to accept that. So that also we have to overcome. Only when we overcome that, I think to some extent we will be able to correct ourselves in the future, because acceptance is the first step for correcting ourselves and moving forward. Many times that does not happen. We don't accept. If we accept, we should be able to say it out loud. Thinking within ourselves is of course, first step. But if we are able to come out and say it, at least to whomever you made that mistake with. Say, for example, you shouted at somebody out of spur of the moment anger. How many times will we go back and tell them, earlier I shouted at you. That was not correct for me to shout at you. I am sorry. How many of us will really do that, even though we know within our mind what we did is wrong? oh, shouting is wrong, I unnecessarily yelled at him. Or even if it is necessary, even if we think it is necessary, it is definitely not necessary. If we think it is necessary, that is again incorrect. How many of us, even if it is our own children, even if it is our own family, our own people whom we love so much, even with them, how many of us will actually go and tell, it was wrong of me to shout at you like that? How many of us? Not many of us, right? So, but inside we know that, array, we shouldn't have done that. We try to make it up with other things. We be more nice to them tomorrow. We make some extra sweet for them tomorrow. We do something else very nice and sweet. But we will not say, it was wrong of me to shout at you. I am sorry. That we will not say.
Ego.
So that shows that we are still struggling to correct ourselves. So what we have to understand by this is, correcting ourselves itself is such a huge task, such a big thing. So first we have to practice doing that, then automatically all others will fall in place. Otherwise, if we don't forgive ourselves, and by doing that, we are not doing that other person a favor. By saying that we are sorry, we are not, many times we see that as a defeat. So if I have to say sorry to somebody, oh my God, I lost everything. Now what will that person think of me, that I have done this mistake? Everybody knows that we have done that mistake. By accepting that, I think in the long run, we will actually gain respect from others. And we also will be able to move forward because we have overcome that hurdle. So it will be easy. And nobody wants to say sorry so many times. So they'll stop doing for whatever things they are saying sorry, right? They will stop saying or doing things. Oh, why to do this and then again go? I cannot, because we cannot live with ourselves. By doing something wrong, we cannot live peacefully. And when will we regain our peace? Only after we go and ask for forgiveness. Now, does somebody who is really buddhiman would want to do this so many times? It is easy to rather give it up, right? Okay, let me not do that thing anymore. Why should I feel bad? Why should I go and again say sorry? Let me simply not do this. Let me simply be nice. So that state will come automatically. So once that state comes, it will be easy. That is what is moving forward. So we have already practiced one thing. We got it under control. So we will move forward. So going forward like that, one thing at a time, if we practice, it will become easy. So yeah, the reason why all these shlokas have so many things that are told again and again and again in all these adhyayas, all these things are repetitively being told, but in a different way every time. So once with in Indriya's context, another thing in Samabhavam, like this, everything. These are all again connected only. It is not like all these are totally different, but looking at the same thing in different aspects, so that it will be easy for all of us to understand, because in the same way, if one thing is told in one way only, not everybody will be able to understand, even as simple as a math problem. So depending on the student, how that student can understand, the teacher will change the technique of explaining a problem. So similarly, here also for us all who are at different levels of thinking, the same thing is being told in many, many ways. So whichever we are able to relate to the most, we can practice that. There is no one right thing and one wrong thing. The ultimate goal is the same, but whatever path works for each of us, that path should be taken. So for that reason, the same things are explained in so many different ways. Okay.
अस्तु भगिनि, पठतु। पठामि वा?
पठतु भगिनि।
अस्तु अस्तु। बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत्सुखम् स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते। बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा विन्दति आत्मनि यत् सुखं सः ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखम् अक्षयम् अश्नुते बाह्यस्पर्शेषु नपुंसकलिङ्गं वा पुल्लिङ्गं वा भगिनि?
पुल्लिङ्गमेव।
पुल्लिङ्गः सप्तमी बहुवचनं। असक्तात्मा नकारान्तः असक्तात्मन् शब्दः प्रथम एकवचनं। विन्दति कर्तरि प्रथमपुरुष लट्लकारे एकवचनं। आत्मनि
विद् धातु विन्दति।
विन्दति विद् धातुः। विद् महाप्राणं वा भगिनि अल्पप्राणं वा?
अल्पप्राणमेव।
अल्पप्राणमेव अस्तु। आत्मनि इति सप्तमी एकवचनं। यत् इति अव्ययं। सुखं नपुंसकलिङ्गे प्रथमम् एकवचनं। सः दकारान्तः तत्शब्दः प्रथम एकवचनं। ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा तदपि पुल्लिङ्गः प्रथम एकवचनं। सुखं नपुंसकलिङ्गे द्वितीय एकवचनं। अक्षयं द्वितीय एव खलु? नपुंसकलिङ्गे द्वितीय एकवचनम्। अश्नुते इति अश् धातु वा भगिनि?
अश् धातु।
अश् धातोः कर्तरि लट् प्रथमपुरुष एकवचनम् आत्मनेपदी। पदार्थः बाह्यस्पर्शेषु बाह्यविषयेषु असक्तात्मा असंलग्नचित्तः आत्मनि स्वस्मिन् यत् सुखं यम् आनन्दं विन्दति प्राप्नोति सः पुरुषः ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा ब्रह्मसमाधिचित्तः अक्षयम् अविनाशी सुखम् आनन्दम् अश्नुते अनुभवति। अन्वयः बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा आत्मनि यत् सुखं विन्दति सः ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा अक्षयं सुखम् अश्नुते। तात्पर्यं शब्दादिषु बाह्येषु इन्द्रियविषयेषु यः अनासक्तः भवति सः आत्मनि यत् प्राप्नोति ब्रह्मयोगेन युक्तान्तः करणः सः तदेव सुखम् अक्षयं प्राप्नोति। एकवारं पुनः भगिनि भवति सः आत्मनि यत् प्राप्नोति ब्रह्मयोगेन युक्तान्तः करणः सः तदेव सुखम् अक्षयं प्राप्नोति। कुत्र असक्तात्मा सुखं प्राप्नोति? इन्द्रियविषयेषु वा बाह्येषु?
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु।
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा आत्मनि यत् सुखं विन्दन्ति। सो कुत्र असक्तात्मा सुखं प्राप्नोति? बाह्यस्पर्शेषु।
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा सुखं प्राप्नोति। बाह्ययोगयुक्तात्मा कीदृशं सुखम् अश्नुते? बाह्ययोग्ययुक्तात्मा अक्षयं सुखम् अश्नुते। अक्षयं सुखम् अश्नुते कः? सः कः? यः ब्रह्मयोगेन युक्तान्तः करणः सः अक्षयं सुखं ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तान्तः करणः सः अक्षयं सुखम् अश्नुते।
ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा इति श्लोके ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा इति पदमस्ति। अक्षयं
तात्पर्येन किञ्चित् पृथक् अस्ति भगिनि। अस्तु। बाह्यस्पर्शेषु कीदृशः आत्मनि सुखं विन्दति? बाह्यस्पर्शेषु कीदृशः
आत्मनि सुखं विन्दति?
कीदृशः आत्मनि इत्यर्थे असंलग्नचित्तः वा? असक्तात्मा
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा आत्मनि सुखं विन्दति।
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा आत्मनि सुखं विन्दति। अस्तु। व्याकरणं सन्धिः बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा बाह्यस्पर्शेषु प्लस असक्तात्मा यणसन्धिः विन्दत्यात्मनि विन्दति प्लस आत्मनि यणसन्धिः स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सः प्लस ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा विसर्गसन्धिलोपः समासः असक्तः पुनः द्रष्टव्यं भगिनि
एदि असक्तः नासक्तः असक्तः
न सक्तः नैतत्पुरुष एव खलु
नैतत्पुरुष
असक्तात्मा असक्तः आत्मा यस्य सः समानाधिक बहुव्रीहि भगिनि
बहुव्रीहि
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु बाह्याः स्पर्शाः तेषु कर्मधारयः कीदृशं कर्मधारय भगिनि
विशेषणपूर्वपद खलु
विशेषणपूर्वपद अस्तु बाह्ययोगयुक्तात्मा बाह्यः ब्रह्म क्षम्यतां ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा ब्रह्मणो योगः ब्रह्मयोगः षष्ठी तत्पुरुषः ब्रह्मयोगेन युक्तः ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तः तृतीय तत्पुरुषः ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तः आत्मा यस्य सः बहुव्रीहिः अक्षयं न विद्यते क्षयः यस्य तत् बहुव्रीहिः नै बहुव्रीहि वा
न विद्यते क्षयः यस्य तत् नै बहुव्रीहि
तद्धितान्तः बाह्यः बहिः प्लस यञ् भवार्थे भवार्थे शुद्धमेव वा भगिनि
भावार्थे अपि वक्तुं शक्यते बहिः भवः इत्यर्थः
बहिः भवः इत्यर्थः एतत् न अवगतं भगिनि
बाह्यः అంటే అవుట్ సైడ్ అని కదా బహిః
అవును అవును
భవః దట్ విచ్ ఇస్ అవుట్ సైడ్ బహిః భవః దట్ విచ్ ఇస్ అవుట్ సైడ్ ఇత్యర్థः బాహ్యः
అచ్చా యై అంటే అది ప్రత్యయము విచ్ మీన్స్ భవః
భవార్థः
ఓకే ఓకే
like we have three kinds no kartari karmani and bhava
అవును అవును अस्तु
so atra kriyapadam kim
विन्दति इति एकं क्रियापदम् अश्नुते इति अपरं क्रियापदम्
अश्नुते विन्दति अत्र कर्तृपदं किम्
विन्दति इत्यत्र असक्तात्मा
असक्तात्मा किं विन्दति
असक्तात्मा बाह्यस्पर्शेषु सुखं विन्दति
बाह्यस्पर्शेषु सुखं विन्दति बाह्यस्पर्शेषु सुखं विन्दति न बाह्यस्पर्शेषु असक्तात्मा आत्मनि सुखं विन्दति here bahyasparsheshu is adhikarana to asaktatma not to vindati so this is another thing we all have to in the karaka perspective in the karaka vyakarana perspective when a word in a sentence is in a particular karaka vibhakti to which kriyapadam that karaka vibhakti is there that also we have to see here asaktatma means he who does not have asakti in what in bahya sparsha he who does not have asakti in bahya sparsha such kind of a asaktatma sukham vindati sukham kutra vindati atmani vindati ante in his own self he is not finding sukham in the bahya sparsha he is finding sukham within himself within the atma so here bahya sparsheshu should be connected to asaktatma as adhikarana not to sukham not to vindati so when you said asaktatma bahya sparsheshu sukham vindati the meaning changes it means asaktatma is obtaining sukham in the bahya sparsha but that is not what the shloka is saying what the shloka is saying is he who is asaktah in the bahya sparsha So bahyasparsheshu asaktatma. So here bahyasparsheshu is adhikarana to asaktatma. Bahyasparsheshu asaktatma atmani sukham vindati. Atmani yat sukham vindati. Here yat is given, but is there a tat?
No, that is understood.
There is no connection here. Bahyasparsheshu asaktatma atmani yat sukham vindati saha brahmayoga yuktatma akshayam sukham ashnute. Saha brahmayoga yuktatma.
అది అండర్స్టూడ్ అనుకుంటాను భగిని. యత్ సుఖం ఏ సుఖాన్ని అయితే
తదేవ సుఖం తత్ ఏవ సుఖం
తథేవ
అక్షయం
సుఖం అక్షయం
tat-
అశ్నుతే.
So that tat we can take as adhyahritam and connect it to this sukham. Akshayam
తథేవ
sukham.
సుఖం తత్ ఏవ సుఖం అక్షయం అశ్నుతే అది లేఖనీయము.
Tat akshayam sukham ashnute.
తత్ అక్షయం సుఖం అశ్నుతే. అస్తు.
Okay, like that we can take tat adhyahritam and connect the yat and tat. Okay, so here tat saha brahma yoga yuktatma akshayam sukham ashnute. So here he who does not have asaktihi in the bahya sparsha, that kind of asaktatma will experience a kind of sukham. And what is that sukham? Akshayam sukham. Akshayam sukham. Akshayam means that which is permanent, that which does not go. Here, why that akshayam word is used? Now we think of so many sukhams that if we ask, what do you think sukham is? So what do you think sukham is? For a person who is hungry, a good meal is sukham, right? He will say, right now, nothing can keep me happy other than a plate of food. And he will eat that food, he will feel real sukham. He thinks that it is real sukham. But 4 hours later, what happens? Is that
Okay.
sukham still there? But sukham is no longer there. He is again hungry. Right? So that is not akshayam sukham. That is sukham. For a person who is starving, if we give them food, the sukham that he experiences after he eats that food is definitely sukham. But it is not akshayam sukham. Similarly, a person who did not sleep for 2 days, if you let him sleep, he will not even mind if there is a proper bed or not. He will sleep only that time he needs. So the sukham that he experiences in that sleep, definitely it is a very good sukham for him. But is that akshayam sukham? No, it is not akshayam sukham. So similarly, for everything that we have, or whatever sukham we are experiencing, we purchase some vastu for our home or for ourselves. Until we purchase and use it for a few days, it will give us immense sukham. But again, if that is giving us akshayam sukham, why do we want to purchase another object? We purchased one piece of clothing today. If that gives us, we think that, oh, this will make me so happy. We bought it, we are wearing it. If we are really very happy with that, we should not feel like wanting another thing. Buying for necessity is a different thing, but we don't want to, that wanting should not be there for another thing of the same kind. And why is it there? Because whatever sukham this particular vastu is giving us, it is not akshayam, it is going away after a few days. So all these bahya sparsha means, here sparsha means you can take it as any kind of indriya, what do you say? Experience through indriyas, whether it is music, whether it is through the ears or whatever indriyas, right? It need not be only the sparsha here, though it is given like that. You can take it as the with our all our indriyas, whatever we are experiencing. We are tasting food, we think that is what we need and that will keep us happy. But after a while, again, we are craving for the same taste or a different taste or whatever. Similarly, with each of our indriyas, whatever we are experiencing, it is not permanent. If it is permanent, we will not crave for another thing, but we are craving for something different again after a few hours. So that shows that bahya sparsha is not akshayam sukham. It is not giving us akshayam sukham. So we should not have asakti in that. We have to understand that all these do not give us akshayam sukham. So we should not develop this asakti in all such things. Slowly, we should become immune to such things. Then eventually we will become that asaktatma. And once we become asaktatma, we try to find that sukham within ourselves. And that kind of sukham is akshayam sukham. Brahma yoga yuktatma. So we will become that Brahma yoga yuktatma. He who binds himself with this Brahma, with the Parabrahma, means looking at everything and looking at Parabrahma within each vastu, within each prani. Then we will become Brahma Yoga Yuktatma, and then we will obtain this Akshayam Sukham, which is permanent. And then there is no looking back. But how do we experience that? When we are telling ourselves that we have to become asaktaha in the bahya vastu, and we have to only look forward to that akshayam sukham, which can be found only within our atmani. None of us have experienced it, or even if we have experienced, maybe it is only for a few seconds. So we do not know completely how to stay in that state of mind permanently. That paravasham, all of us might have experienced one time or another, but that is all very brief period. How to make it permanent? How can we understand what we need to do to make that kind of feeling permanent? So how to experience that, and how can something, see, we experience that when we look at something, when we perform a puja, then we are obtaining that kind of sukham for a while. But should the puja be the means for us to obtain that sukham? Even without performing that kind of puja, you should still be able to obtain that kind of sukham. Even by not doing, like, our sukham should not be tied up to other things, whether they are simply materialistic things or some really good things also. Our sukham should not be tied up to such things, because otherwise we will be dependent on those bahya vastu. Only when you do worship, if you are feeling that sukham, you may not be able to do worship forever. Physically, you may not be capable of doing it anymore. You may not be able to travel anymore. So then will you not be able to experience that sukham anymore? So we should not become dependent on it. We have to find that Paramatma within ourselves. We should not be dependent on something bahya to experience that. But we cannot directly jump to that step. So all these should be done. The puja should be done. Visiting the Devalayam should be done. All these should be done. But we have to remember that our ultimate goal should be able to obtain that sukham without the necessity of all these things as well. But one should be ready for that. Like how we discussed in the previous adhyaya, that jnana margam and the karma margam. Karma margam is a step to enter into the jnana margam. One cannot directly jump into the jnana margam when they are not ready. With so many, with abhyasa through so many lives, one can obtain. We will see some people who are practicing the Jnana Marga at a very young age. So when they are able to do, why should I not be able to do? So I will also do, and then I will start Jnana Marga. So this is not only this one life where we have to see. That particular person who is able to enter the Jnana Marga at such a young age is because of his abhyasa in the previous lives. That also we have to understand. So that is why in this life, immediately he is able to enter that Jnana Marga. If we are not able to enter, it means that we still have so much of abhyasa to do. And during that period, the Karma Marga has to be followed. We have to perform whatever is needed for us to attain that state, to enter into the Jnana Marga. For that, if pujas are required, pujas need to be done. If we need to visit the Devalayas, Devalayas need to be visited. Because many times some people think, oh, we are very spiritual, we don't need to do all this. It is good if you are really not required to do, and if you are really fit to enter into the Jnana Marga, then that is very good. But we should not use that as an excuse to skip all this, because we need to do that abhyasa. Only then our mind will be more stable when we are entering into that Jnana Marga. But eventually the goal should be this. And even while we are doing this, we have to practice that detachment. We should not completely depend on that to obtain that sukham. We should understand that I have to do this because I need to prepare my manas, my buddhi, to enter into the Jnana Marga. For that, my manas needs more abhyasa to stay in that state. For that reason, I am doing this. With that kind of consciousness, we have to do. Whatever we do, we have to understand that I am doing this as an abhyasa to keep my mind more stable, to bring my mind, it is wandering here and there. To bring it back, I am doing this. So are you really bringing back the manas? Are we really able to put that manas? Or we are simply performing the puja as a routine, and then our mind is wandering everywhere? Then there is no point of performing such kind of pujas. So even when we are practicing these things, we have to keep in mind the ultimate goal and focus on that goal. And through these karmacharana, satkarmacharana, are we moving one step ahead at a time? That also consciously we have to question ourselves. We have to look into ourselves and do these checkpoints. Or simply every day we are performing puja, but the manas is not there. It is wandering somewhere. What is he doing in the next room? What is this person doing there? With such thoughts, if we are doing the karma charana, it doesn't matter. It will not benefit us. So that satkarma charana should be done with utmost shraddha. Only then it will help us go into the next level. So only then we will become Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. And once we become that Brahma Yoga Yuktatma, that Akshayam Sukham can be experienced by us. But then again, we came to the same point. So how to experience that? And until we experience that Akshayam Sukham, should we give up all these other Sukhams? This Brahma, Bahya Sparsha Sukham, should we give up these? Should we give up these is, again, we have to give up those. But again, with the practice, because our indriyas and manas are really very powerful. So we cannot suppress them by force. We have to tame them. Over time, we have to tame them and bring it under control. Suddenly today we make a decision, I am going to become asaktaha. And suddenly you will suppress everything. It will not work. So slowly, we have to come out of it. And the only way to come out of it is by realizing that it is not permanent. This is asat. This is not permanent. This sukham lasts only for a while. That kind of thinking, if we practice, then slowly, then that asakta bhava will come. That asakta bhava will come by slowly accepting the fact that none of this is true. None of this is true. So, and for this, like people, for people to understand how to go into this practicing Akshayam Sukham, we don't even know how it is. We might have experienced it very briefly for a few seconds, sometime or the other, but how to make it permanent? Whereas this Sukham appears so real. Whenever I want Sukham, I can do this and I will obtain that Sukham. But how to do that, which we cannot even see right now, which we cannot even know how to obtain it. We don't even know how to obtain it. And you are asking us to give up these Sukhams, which are so real, which we can get whenever we want. Can we not continue experiencing these Sukhams until we obtain that Akshayam Sukham? So how can that be possible, right? So when your indriyas are still continuing to experience this, why will they come to that state? of where you have control over them. As long as you are letting this happen, how can that happen? Like we discussed this story long time back. A king is there who has some dogs. He loves them so much, he feeds them every day. But one day he will think, no, I have other things I want to do. Let me just send them away to somewhere else. Let them go into the wild and live. So he will think, okay, tomorrow I'm going to let them loose. They will go into the wild and they will lead their life. I have to stop taking care of them because I have other things I need to focus on. So he will think today is the last day. So let me give one more good treat to all these dogs, and tomorrow I will leave them. So today he will give the treat. So the dogs will happily enjoy, and he will think, okay, you go. He will tell them, you go and live in the wild. Will they go? They won't. Next day they will again come. And then he will think, okay, one more last treat. He will again give them treats. Like this, it will go on for several days. The dogs are coming back. He is not able to stop feeding them. So he will ask Swamiji, this is what I'm planning to do, but these dogs are coming back. And I keep telling them, this is your last treat. I'm not going to give you any more treat tomorrow, so you don't come back. But they are coming back. So then the yogi says, no, that is not, if you don't want the dog to come back, you stop feeding them. They will come. Tomorrow they will come. When they come, you don't feed them. They will come back again, thinking, okay, yesterday he didn't feed for whatever reason, maybe today he will feed. He will come back. They will come back. Don't feed them. Do that for 3 or 4 days and they will not return. So the king will practice that. The next day they will come back. He will say, no, I'm not going to take care of you anymore. You leave. They will wait for a while. They will understand the king is not going to feed them. They will go. But tomorrow again they will come back, thinking that at least today maybe he will feed. That day also he will say, no, no more treat. I'm not taking care of you anymore. You are on your own. What happens after 3 or 4 days? Will the dogs come back? They won't. Similarly, the Indriyas also, if you keep thinking, until we attain that Akshayam Sukham, let me experience this Sukham. From tomorrow, anyhow, I am practicing Akshayam Sukham. For today, I will eat this. For today, I will do this. So, will the Indriyas come under control like that? They will not. So, first, this Bahya Sparsheshu Asaktatma, we need to become that. First, we need to stop this. Only then our focus will turn on to that Akshayam Sukham and we will put utmost Shraddha there. Otherwise, it is not possible to put utmost Shraddha there while our Indriyas are still being indulged in all these other things. So for that, how is the next question? How? So, and what is this Sukham? That which is not related to the Bahya Sparsha or the Bahya Vastu, that which does not involve. So another example, another Laukika example is when you sleep and when you go into a real deep sleep, after you wake up, you have this kind of Sukham that you have experienced, right? You have experienced a kind of Sukham. Which is very good feeling. Now, for that kind of sukham, for you to experience that kind of sukham, did any of your indriyas help you? Even your indriyas are sleeping at that point. Even the manas is sleeping when you are in that sushuptavastha, not in the kevalam, the swapnavastha. In the swapnavastha, the mind is still working. Okay, but in the Sushuptavastha, even the mind also completely rests. It will stop working. That is called the Sushuptavastha, where there is complete closure to any kind of input from your Indriyas and the Manas. Indriyas, of course, no input even in the Sushuptavastha, but in the in the Swapnavastha, but in the Sushuptavastha, even the mind is completely under rest. That also is not working. But did you experience that Sukham or not? We have experienced the Sukham without the help of all these Indriyas and the Manas. So why do we think that we need these indriyas for these sukhams, and the sukhams can only be obtained through these indriyas? No, these indriyas also will give us some sukham, but which is not akshayam. But there is an akshaya sukham which we can obtain without the help of these. We think that we can obtain sukham only with these, but no. If we take this example, this sushupta avastha that we experience, if you have that kalata nidra, we say, where you are not in the deep sleep, some kind of dreams and thoughts are going on, lingering. So you will wake up and say, I slept, but still, I did not sleep very well. So I am not completely fresh. I am not completely rested. Means you have not experienced that sukham completely because your mind is still working. You were unable to put that mind also completely into complete rest. But when that mind also rests, then you will experience that sukham which did not need the help of any of these. So, in that way, if we relate, we can start believing that we can obtain sukham without any of these indriyas and the manas. Because we are already doing that, but in the sushupta avastha. But we have to learn how to do that even in the jagrata avastha. And how to do that in the jagrata avastha? By having asaktaha, by not having asaktihi, by completely being indulged only in the Paramatma, by only indulging ourselves in the Paramatma. And how can we do that? Asaktaha. Say, for example, you are lost in some deep thought. A person is talking right next to you. Does any of that get into your, something is your Indriya, Shravanendriya is working. You are able to hear something, some noise or some talking. But is it going into your head? No. Sometimes you will be looking at a person, but you are lost in deep thought that you don't even remember that you saw that person, or whatever that person is doing right in front of you. You are unable to realize that. Means even though your chakshurindriyam is looking, that feeding is not going into the manas, right? So that is what needs to be practiced. Even when we are in the jagrata avastha, we should not be touched by things that are going around us. People will be talking. People will be doing something which do not pertain to us. What I mean is which do not pertain to us. Such things we should not be connected to. So people are talking about some neighbor, Vishayavancha. So they are talking about something. Oh, he bought this, he did this, he did that. That doesn't matter to us. It should not matter to us. It is not useful to us in any way. So that should not even enter your mind. Even they will be talking, you are right next to them, but still you have to practice such that such words are not entering into your mind and bothering you. That needs to be practiced. So why should I bother what that person is doing? It is immaterial to me. It is none of my business. So that kind of thing, if we practice, slowly we will lose interest in such things and the sukhams that such things give. For some people, that is a sukham. When they talk, when they have this gossip, they feel really energized. They need to go out and talk and, of course, good things if you talk, like in a, what do you call, in a satsangam, if you discuss good things, that is one thing. But some people just gather and talk this and that, things which are not important. So finding pleasure in such things, we have to slowly reduce. Then we will have more energy to put into things that really matter and doing abhyasa in practicing this yoga. Okay, becoming or connecting ourselves with the Brahma. In such things, if we try to practice, it will be more useful for us, right? So we have to realize that sukham, which is coming through these indriyas, is not important, and we don't need these indriyas or the manas to obtain that akshayam sukham. And our thought should be constantly on how to progress ourselves, move forward. So that kind of thinking we should develop. So for people who find it difficult, how we don't even know what that sukham is, how. So we have to remember, okay, we are still capable of experiencing that sukham. And to be able to experience that sukham, first we have to cut out the king and the dog's story. We have to remember, the more we feed our indriyas with this kind of daily, sukham, which is not permanent, the longer it will take for us to obtain the akshayam sukham. So slowly, one by one, we have to cut out these things. Then we will be able to focus on that. So that is how we need to this shloka, the words that are used here, the bahya sparsheshu and that akshayam sukham. So we need to focus. So though the concepts explained in these shlokas are something that we have already discussed in the previous shlokas, with these words, every shloka has something new word. With that, that how to practice all this will become easy for us. How to distinguish. So bring your indriyas under control, bring your indriyas under control. Why to bring our indriyas under control? Because we are, by not bringing our indriyas under control, we are giving in to these sukhams which are not permanent. But what is our goal? To focus on the Paramatma, to understand the Paramatma Tattvam. Once we understand the Paramatma Tattvam, then we will find the Sukham there. And that Sukham is Akshayam Sukham. So that to make us, so why the Indriyas should be brought into control, these are all the reasons. So in each shloka, we will be learning something new way to do the same thing, or new way to understand why we need to do these things. So in that way, we have to look at each of these shlokas. So then it will become easy for us, because again, like I said earlier, for each of us, we might find we might find one of the ways suggested in these shlokas easy to practice. So many ways are being shown to us. In that way, we have to look at each of these shlokas. Okay. So let us move on to the next shloka. Who would like to read the next one? Ravishankar Mahodaya, patitum ichchati va?
आं महोदय पठामि श्रूयते किल
श्रूयते
ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगाः दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः पदार्थः कौन्तेय हे अर्जुन ये हि यस्मात् अमी संस्पर्शजाः विषयजन्याः भोगाः आनन्दाः ते आनन्दाः आद्यन्तवन्तः उत्पत्ति विनाश सहिताः दुःखयोनयः एव विषादहेतवः एव बुधः पंडितः तेषु भोगेषु न रमते न क्रीडति.
So padaparichayam api vaktum ichchati va?
वदामि महोदय. ये यद् सर्वनाम शब्द प्रथमा विभक्ति this is adjective to bhoga विशेषणं भवति. हि अन्वयः
प्रथमा विभक्ति बहुवचनं
पुल्लिङ्गः हि अव्ययं संस्पर्शजाः संस्पर्शज अकारान्त पुल्लिङ्ग शब्दः प्रथमा विभक्ति बहुवचनं भोगाः इति पदस्य विशेषणः भवति. भोगाः भोग अकारान्तः पुल्लिङ्ग शब्दः भवन्ति इति क्रियापदस्य कर्तरि. दुःखयोनयः दुःखयोनिः इकारान्त स्त्रीलिङ्गः वा
पुंलिङ्गः।
विकारान्त पुल्लिङ्गशब्दः एव विकारान्त पुल्लिङ्गशब्दः भोगाः इति पदस्य विशेषणः भवति एव अव्ययं ते तद् सर्वनामशब्दः दुःखयोनयः इति पदस्य विशेषणः भवति ते आद्यन्तवन्तः आद्यन्तवत् तकारान्तः पुल्लिङ्गः भोगाः इति शब्दस्य विशेषणः कौन्तेय संबोधन अर्जुनस्य संबोधनः भवति न अव्ययं तेषु तत् शब्दस्य विषयाधिकरण रमते इति शब्दस्य विषयाधिकरणः भवति रमते रम धातु लट् लकार कर्तरि
प्रथमपुरुष
एकवचनं बुधः बुध धातु अकारान्तः पुल्लिङ्गः बुध धातु कर्तरि टु रमते
कर्ता टु रमते सो अत्र पठतु महोदय अन्वय पठतु
कौन्तेय ये संस्पर्शजा भोगाः ते आद्यन्तवन्तः दुःखयोनयः एव हि बुधः तेषु न रमते तात्पर्यं कौन्तेय विषयजन्याः सर्वेपि भोगाः परिमिताः दुःखजनकाश्च भवन्ति तस्मात् विद्वान् तेषु भोगेषु न रमते प्रश्नः संस्पर्शजाः भोगाः कीदृशाः भोगाः दुःखयोनयः संस्पर्शजाः भोगाः दुःखयोनयः भवति
दुःखयोनयः
आद्यन्तवन्तः दुःखयोनयः के पुनः संस्पर्शजा भोगाः एव सम्यक् वा
सम्यक् भोगाः दुःखयोनयः संस्पर्शजा भोगाः
बुधः केषु न रमते आद्यन्तवन्तः न तेषु रमते बुधः भोगेषु न रमते आद्यन्तवन्तः इत्यस्य कः अर्थः आद्यन्तवन्तः आदि अन्तवन्तः एव वा
that which has adi and antam
anta yes adi and anta yes
so in the padartha utpatti vinasha sahitaah iti dattamasti kalu tadapi vaktum shakyate
उत्पत्ति विनाश सहिताः आम् अनन्त इत्युक्ते रहिताः उत्पत्ति विनाश रहिता इति अनन्त भवति किल कृष्णः अर्जुनम्
आदि अन्त
आदिः न अन्तः
अन्तः इस् विनाश
आदिः एव न भवति तस्य अन्तः अपि न भवति आद्यन्तरहिताः
आद्यन्तरहिताः न आद्यन्तवन्तः मीन्स् दट् विच् हेस्
आद्यन्तवन्तः अत्र आद्यन्तवन्तः आद्यन्तरहितः अविनाशी भवति किल
आमाम् आम्
कृष्णः अर्जुनं केन शब्देन संबोधयति कौन्तेय इति शब्देन संबोधयति व्याकरणं सन्धिः संस्पर्शजा भोगाः विसर्गसन्धिः विसर्गस्य लोपः भवति समासः संस्पर्शजाः संस्पर्शात् जाताः कर्तरि ड प्रत्ययः उपपदसमासश्च दुःखयोनयः दुःखस्य योनयः षष्ठी तत्पुरुषः आद्यन्तौ आदिश्च अन्तश्च द्वन्द्वसमासः तद्धितान्तः आद्यन्तवन्तः आद्यन्त अधिकं मतु प्रत्ययः आद्यन्तौ येषां येषु वा स्तः.
So atra अन्वयं ये संस्पर्शजा भोगाः ते आद्यन्तवन्तः दुःखयोनयः एव हि. तो ये भोगाः सन्ति ते भोगाः दुःखयोनयः भवन्ति. So ये भोगाः सन्ति ये संस्पर्शजाः भोगाः सन्ति ते आद्यन्तवन्तः दुःखयोनयः
भवन्ति
एव भवति. So here we have to take adhyahritam of santi and bhavanti. So for santi ye te are the connecting words.
Yes.
Ye bhogaah santi te dukkhayonaha yonayah
antavantah dukkhayonayaः bhavanti.
And samsparshajaha is visheshana to bhogaah. Adyantavantaha will become visheshana to dukkhayonayaha. And ye is kartripadam to santi in bhogaah santi. So ye bhogaah santi. So here bhogaah will become videya visheshana to ye. Ye bhogaah santi or just visheshana, not videya visheshana. We can make it as ye bhogaah santi. So ye is visheshana to bhogaah. Samsparshajaah is also visheshana to bhogaah. Ye samsparshajaah bhogaah santi te adyantavantah dukkhayonayaः bhavanti. So here dukkhayonayaः can be videya visheshana to te and adyantavantah is regular visheshana to dukkhayonayaः. Okay, so those bhogaah that are from the vishaya, that are from the vishaya janyaha, that come out of the bhogaah here means the sukhaah,
indriya sukhaah,
that come out of the vishaya means the vastu janyaha. Vastu means it need not be a physical vastu, any kind of such bandhaah, like out of the bandha that you have with your family or friends. So any sukham that comes out of samsparshajaah, they result in te dukkhayonayaः bhavanti. They will cause dukkha. What kind of dukkha? Adyantavantah dukkha. Adyantavantah dukkha. So what does this again adyantavantah dukkhayonayaः? Dukkhayonayaः means vishada hetavah. Means this they become the result of some kind of dukkham. Okay, but these again have adi and anta.
Yes.
Can we take it as Harivam Bhagini Kshamata? Can we take it as the root cause of all the dukkha's?
Yes.
Yes.
I was about to ask that. Yes.
Yes.
These are the root causes of all sorts of dukkha's.
Yonayaha means that is what it means, I think. No, Madhya.
Yonayaha is origin. Yoni. It is coming from the same word yoni as the yoni that we normally refer to. But here the meaning we have to take it as origin. Origin of the
origin or root cause, you can say, sir.
Yes. And these are again adi and they have adi and anta. Okay, these kind of bhogas have adi and anta, and that is why they become dukkha yonayaha. They become the origin of dukkha. Why this adi anta?
Katham bhavati bhavini? Adi antah katham bhavati?
Katham ityukte. So basically, like how we discussed earlier, the sukhams that we experience through these samsparshajaah. Okay, those sukhams have adi and anta. They are not permanent, right? When you right now you are hungry. Right now you are hungry. You started eating. So there is an adi for this sukham.
And anta also is there.
You completed eating. After 4 or 6 hours, you are hungry again. So the sukham ended.
So when it is not permanent, it has anta, adi and anta.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It's not
But
lasting.
whereas the Akshayam Sukham, the Sukham that we obtain from the Paramatma Tattva Jnanam, that does not have Adi and Anta.
Permanent.
Once you enter that state, it is permanent.
Yes.
It is permanent. Maybe we can say it has an Adi because we are entering from a state of Jnanam into Jnanam. So there maybe we might be having an Adi, but it does not have an Antam. Once we enter into that Paramatma Tattva Jnanam, the Sukham that we obtain has no Anta.
Mm.
So Buddhaha Teshu na ramate. Teshu here indicates Bhogeshu.
Bhogeshu
Such
na
kind of Bhogeshu, he who is a Buddhiman will not find
indulge in these things.
enjoyment in such kind of bhogas. So Kaunteya, Buddhaha, Teshu na ramate. The Teshu here is indicating the Bhogaha. Bhogeshu na ramate. Why? Because he knows that these Bhogas are Dukkhayonayaha, are
Antavanta.
Adivantaha,
Adyantavantaha.
Adyantavantaha.
Ah.
So here the Adyantavantaha should be Visheshana to Bhogaha only, not to
Yes.
Dukkhayonayaha, right?
Complement to Bhogaha only.
But here
Visheshana
they have
to
given,
Bhogaha.
in the Anvaya, they have given Te Adyantavantaha Dukkhayonayaha evahi. Oh, so they are, okay, he's explaining that Te means those Bhogaha, Te Bhogaha, Adyantavantaha and Dukkhayonayaha. Okay, so Adyantavantaha should also be taken as Videya
Complement.
Visheshana to Te.
Te.
Te Bhogaha, Adyantavantaha, Dukkhayonayaha.
Dukkhayonayaha cha.
Okay. Any questions in this?
Namaste. Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha, Mahodaya. So here basically again the same thing is being told. So these bhogaha, they only cause dukkham, and these bhogaha are adyantavantaha, means they have a beginning and an ending. So you want a vastu. Until you want that vastu, you are suffering. Once you get that vastu, you start experiencing the sukham. But again, after a few days, that sukham will end. If that sukham did not end, you will not want another vastu. If you really found that permanent sukham in that one thing, then you will not go for another thing, whatever it is, right? So that is what is meant by adyantavantaha. Even for satiating our hunger, food is required. But why are we wanting so many different tastes? Food is to satiate our hunger. So whatever healthy food which is cooked in Satvika Vidhanam, that which is good for our health, we should be happy with. But no, today we want to eat one item, tomorrow we want to eat another item. So that is all Adyantavantaha Bhogaha. It is not able to give us that permanent Sukham. So that also, starting from there, we can practice. So what is good for our health? Are we eating that? Of course, we have to eat a variety because our body needs a variety of nutrition. For that purpose, it is okay to eat a variety, but we should not crave for certain tastes. That way, we are again giving in to this rasanendriyam. So like that, we have to think about everything. We have to find pleasure in listening to the Paramatma Tattvam. That kind of chintanam we can find pleasure in. Not in, we should not find pleasure in gossiping about others. When somebody are gossiping about others, we should not find pleasure in that. So such kinds we have to recognize. So where that priyam is there, is it the right kind of priyam or not? There, if we start that niyantrana, then slowly with abhyasa, we will be able to practice to how much ever extent we can in this particular life. Again, that continues, that learning continues, keeps going on. And it will not happen overnight. So we also have to have that patience with ourselves. We should not be disappointed that we are not able to reach that tattvam or Tattvajnanam overnight, because it will not happen overnight. A lot of abhyasa is needed. Okay. Any questions?
Try until you succeed అన్నట్లు.
Ante. Astu. So, atra sthapayamah. Alivelu Bhagini.
आं भगिनि सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ओम शांति शांति शांतिः धन्यवाद भगिनी नमस्कारः सर्वेभ्यः धन्यवादः
ధన్యవాదాలు భగిని.
नमस्कारः
धन्यवादाः महोदय।
धन्यवादः
धन्यवादः महोदय।